The night Evelyn Hart knocked on the wrong door in a violent storm, she had no idea the stranger who answered would become the man she couldn't live without. She was a millionaire heiress running from an engagement she never wanted. He was a single father fighting to keep a roof over his daughter's head. What started as a simple act of kindness in a blackout turned into something neither of them expected. A love that would cost her everything she'd been raised to protect. But when Evelyn discovered her own family's company owned Marcus's home, and that her controlling mother was planning to take it away, she faced an impossible choice. Would she sacrifice the only real connection she'd ever known to keep her family's approval? Or would she risk it all to fight for a man society said she had no business loving? Subscribe now and tell me where you're watching from. Because this story of forbidden love, family betrayal, and choosing your own path will leave you believing in second chances. The rain came down so hard Evelyn could barely see the road. Her windshield wipers worked as fast as they could, but it wasn't enough. Thunder crashed overhead, making her jump in her seat. She squinted at her phone mounted on the dashboard, watching the little blue dot that was supposed to show where she was going. The screen flickered. Then it went black. "No, no, no," she whispered, tapping the phone. Nothing. The battery had died at the worst possible moment. She was supposed to be at a rental cottage by the lake. Her mother had arranged it, somewhere quiet where Evelyn could think about her decisions, which really meant think about going back to Grant and the life everyone expected her to live. But right now, none of that mattered. Right now, she just needed to get out of this storm. Through the rain, she spotted a small house with a porch light on. It looked right. One story, dark blue siding, a simple porch. She was pretty sure this was it. At least, she hoped it was. Evelyn pulled into the driveway and turned off the engine. The rain pounded on the roof of her car like 1,000 tiny hammers. She took a deep breath, grabbed her purse, and opened the door. The wind nearly ripped it from her hand. Rain soaked through her cream-colored sweater in seconds. She ran toward the porch, her shoes splashing through puddles she couldn't see in the dark. By the time she reached the front door, she was drenched and shivering. She knocked hard. Once, twice, 3 times. "Please be home," she thought. "Please let someone be home." The door opened, and warm light spilled out. A man stood there, tall and broad-shouldered, holding a flashlight. He wore jeans and a gray t-shirt, and he looked as surprised to see her as she was relieved to see him. "Help you?" he asked. His voice was calm, careful. "I'm so sorry," Evelyn said, water dripping from her hair into her eyes. "I think this is my rental. My phone died, and I couldn't see, and the storm—" "Rental?" He frowned, slightly, then glanced past her at the storm. Thunder rolled again, closer this time. "I think you got the wrong house, but you can't go back out in this. Come on in." "Thank you," Evelyn breathed, stepping inside. The warmth hit her immediately, making her realize just how cold she'd gotten. A small voice came from down the hallway. "Daddy, who is it?" Evelyn turned and saw a little girl peeking around the corner. She had her hair in 2 puffs and wore pajamas covered in stars. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old. "Just someone who got lost in the storm, Lilybug," the man said gently. He looked back at Evelyn. "I'm Marcus Reed, and that's my daughter, Lily." "Evelyn," she said, wrapping her arms around herself. "Evelyn Hart, I'm really sorry to barge in like this." "Don't worry about it," Marcus said. He grabbed a towel from a closet near the door and handed it to her. "You're soaked through. Here." Evelyn took the towel gratefully and pressed it to her face. Her hands were shaking, partly from cold and partly from embarrassment. She couldn't believe she'd knocked on a stranger's door in the middle of a storm. "You said you're renting nearby?" Marcus asked, setting the flashlight on a side table. "Yes, I'm supposed to be, one of the lakeside cottages. I thought this was it, but—" She looked around the small living room. A worn couch, a coffee table with coloring books on it, a TV in the corner. This definitely wasn't the cottage her mother had described. "I was wrong. I'm so sorry." "The cottages are about 3 blocks that way," Marcus said, pointing west. "Easy to miss in the dark, especially in weather like this." As if to prove his point, the lights flickered. Once, twice. Then they went out completely. Lily made a small sound of surprise. "It's okay, baby," Marcus said immediately. "Just the storm. Happens sometimes. We've got flashlights and candles, remember?" "I remember," Lily said, her voice smaller now. Evelyn felt terrible. "I should go. I've already—" "You're not going anywhere in this," Marcus said firmly. "Not until the storm passes, at least. Power's out, which means the traffic lights are probably out too. Roads'll be dangerous." He was right, and Evelyn knew it. She nodded slowly. "Okay, thank you. I really appreciate this." "Let me get you something dry," Marcus said, "and we should probably do something about that." He pointed at her hand, and Evelyn looked down. There was blood on her palm. Not a lot, but enough to be noticeable. She must have cut it on something when she was running through the storm. "Oh," she said, surprised. She hadn't even felt it. "I didn't realize." "Come on," Marcus said, leading her towards the kitchen. "First aid kit's in here." The kitchen was small and clean, with dishes drying in a rack by the sink, and drawings held up on the refrigerator with magnets. Marcus grabbed the flashlight and set it on the counter so it lit up the room with a soft glow. Then he pulled out a first aid kit from under the sink. "Let me see," he said. Evelyn held out her hand. The cut was on her palm, a thin line about 2 inches long. It wasn't deep, but it stung now that she was paying attention to it. Marcus was gentle as he cleaned it with an antiseptic wipe. His hands were steady and sure, like he'd done this before. Probably lots of times, Evelyn thought, with a 6-year-old daughter. "You're good at this," she said quietly. "Practice," he said with a small smile. "Lily's always getting scrapes. Goes with the territory." He put ointment on the cut, then wrapped it carefully with the bandage. When he was done, he stepped back and nodded. "That should hold." "Thank you," Evelyn said. She felt the warmth in her chest again, but this time it wasn't from coming in out of the cold. It was something else. Gratitude, maybe. Or just the kindness of a stranger who didn't have to help her but did anyway. A hissing sound filled the kitchen. Evelyn looked over and saw Marcus lighting a small camp stove on the counter. "Power might be out for a while," he said. "I was about to make dinner when you knocked. Nothing fancy. Just soup and grilled cheese. You're welcome to stay and eat." "I couldn't," Evelyn said automatically. "You've already done so much." "It's soup," Marcus said simply. "There's plenty." Lily appeared in the doorway, holding a stuffed dinosaur. "Are you staying for dinner?" she asked Evelyn. Evelyn looked at the little girl, then at Marcus, who just shrugged like it was no big deal. Like letting a stranger stay for dinner in the middle of a blackout was the most normal thing in the world. "If it's really okay," Evelyn said slowly, "then yes, thank you." "It's okay," Lily said seriously. Then she held up her dinosaur. "This is Rex. He's a T-Rex, but he's nice, not scary." Evelyn smiled. "Nice to meet you, Rex." Lily giggled and ran back toward the living room. Marcus filled a pot with water and set it on the camp stove. Then he reached into a cabinet for a can of soup. As he did, the cabinet door swung open too fast, and clipped the edge of Evelyn's bandaged hand. She winced. "Sorry," Marcus said quickly. "You okay?" "I'm fine," Evelyn said, though her hand throbbed a little now. "Really?" But Marcus was already checking the bandage to make sure it hadn't come loose. His concern was so genuine, so immediate, that Evelyn felt something shift inside her. When was the last time someone had cared about something this small? When was the last time someone had just paid attention? "Still looks good," Marcus said, letting go of her hand. "But tell me if it starts bleeding again." "I will," Evelyn promised. A sound came from somewhere deeper in the house, a soft, steady dripping. Marcus's head turned toward the hallway. "That's new." He grabbed the flashlight and walked out of the kitchen. Evelyn followed, not sure what else to do. They found the leak in the hallway, right under a dark spot on the ceiling. Water was dripping steadily onto the floor, forming a small puddle. "Great," Marcus muttered. He ran a hand over his face, looking tired for the first time since Evelyn had knocked on his door. "Storm must have found a weak spot in the roof." "What do you need?" Evelyn asked. He looked at her, surprised. "You don't have to." "I'm here," Evelyn said. "And I'm already wet. What do you need?" Marcus studied her for a moment, like he was trying to figure out if she meant it. Then he nodded. "Buckets. There's some in the closet by the bathroom. And towels. Lots of towels." They worked quickly. Marcus grabbed a big mixing bowl from the kitchen and set it under the worst of the drips. Evelyn brought towels and helped him lay them out around the bowl to catch the splatter. Lily appeared with a small plastic dinosaur in one hand and set it carefully next to the bowl. "To guard it?" she said seriously. Marcus smiled and ruffled her hair. "Good thinking, Lilybug." They stood there for a moment, the three of them, listening to the rain pound on the roof and the water drip into the bowl. It was strange, Evelyn thought. She'd walked into the wrong house, cut her hand, and now she was standing in a stranger's hallway helping catch rainwater. But somehow, it didn't feel wrong. It felt right. "Thank you," Marcus said quietly. "For helping." "Of course," Evelyn said, and she meant it. Another drip started in the corner of the living room, this one faster. Marcus sighed and went to grab another bucket. Evelyn followed, rolling up her sleeves. They set up a second drip station, moving the coffee table out of the way and putting down a bucket surrounded by towels. The water from the camp stove started to boil. Marcus went back to the kitchen to pour the soup, and Evelyn stayed in the living room with Lily. "Do you live far away?" Lily asked, sitting on the couch with Rex in her lap. "I'm just visiting," Evelyn said, kneeling down to adjust one of the towels. "I'm staying at a cottage by the lake, or I will be once I actually find it." Lily nodded like this made perfect sense. "Daddy says sometimes we get lost, but it's okay because we can always find our way if we stay calm." "Your daddy sounds smart," Evelyn said. "He is," Lily said proudly. "He fixes things, lights and wires and stuff. He made our toaster work again after it stopped." Evelyn smiled. An electrician? She thought. That explained the steady hands and the confidence with practical things. Marcus came back in with 2 mugs of soup and a small bowl for Lily. He handed one mug to Evelyn and sat down on the couch next to his daughter. "It's not much," he said, "but it's hot." Evelyn took a sip. It was chicken noodle, simple and warm, and it tasted better than anything she'd had in weeks. Maybe because she was cold and tired. Or maybe because it was made with care. "It's perfect," she said. "Thank you." They ate in the dim light of the flashlight. Outside, the wind howled and the rain kept coming. Inside, it was quiet except for the sound of dripping water and Lily slurping her soup. It was the kind of quiet that felt safe, Evelyn thought. The kind that made you feel like the storm couldn't touch you. After dinner, Lily asked for a story. Marcus pulled out a book from the shelf, something about a bear who didn't want to go to sleep, and started reading by flashlight. His voice was low and steady, and Evelyn found herself relaxing into the sound of it. Halfway through, Marcus's voice started to get hoarse. Lily looked up at him with concern. "Your throat hurts, Daddy?" "Just a little tired, Lilybug," he said. Without thinking, Evelyn reached over. "Can I finish?" Marcus looked at her, surprised again. Then he handed her the book. "Sure." Evelyn read the last few pages, doing her best to make the bear sound sleepy and grumpy. Lily giggled at the voices, and by the time the bear finally went to bed in the story, Lily was yawning too. "Bedtime," Marcus said gently. "But the storm," Lily started. "Is outside," Marcus said. "And we're inside, safe and dry. Mostly dry," he added with a small smile, glancing at the buckets. Lily nodded and stood up, holding Rex tight. "Good night, Miss Evelyn." "Good night, Lily," Evelyn said softly. Marcus carried his daughter down the hallway, and Evelyn heard the soft murmur of his voice as he tucked her in. She sat on the couch, staring at the flashlight and listening to the rain. She couldn't remember the last time she'd felt this. Still, this present. At home in the city, there was always something, some event, some meeting, some expectation. Here, there was just the storm and the quiet and the sound of a father saying goodnight to his daughter. Marcus came back a few minutes later and sat down in the chair across from her. He looked tired, but calm. "She's out," he said. "Storm won't wake her. She's used to it." "She's sweet," Evelyn said. "You're doing a great job with her." Marcus looked down at his hands. "I'm trying. It's just the two of us, so I do what I can." Evelyn wanted to ask where Lily's mother was, but it felt too personal, too soon. Instead, she said, "She seems happy. That's what matters." "Yeah," Marcus said quietly. "Yeah, it is." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Evelyn noticed something on the wall near the kitchen, a small metal tag screwed into the fuse box. It had a logo on it, simple and clean. Hart Holdings, her family's company. Her stomach twisted. She hadn't known they managed properties out here. She'd thought this town was too small, too far from the city, but there it was, right in front of her. "Something wrong?" Marcus asked, following her gaze. "No," Evelyn said quickly. "Just looking." But her mind was racing. Did Marcus know who she was? Did he know her family owned the company that probably owned this house? Would it change things if he did? She didn't say anything. Not yet. Not tonight. Tonight, she was just Evelyn, a stranger who got lost in the storm. And he was just Marcus, the man, who let her in. Another drip started in the hallway, faster now. Marcus stood up and grabbed a towel, pressing it under the leak. Evelyn helped him wring out the soaked towels and replace them with dry ones. They worked side by side, not talking, just doing what needed to be done. By the time they were finished, it was late. The storm was still going, but it sounded farther away now, like it was moving on. "You should get some sleep," Marcus said. "Storm will probably be gone by morning, and you can head to your cottage then." "Where should I?" Evelyn started, looking around. Marcus grabbed a quilt from the closet and spread it over the recliner. "It's not much, but it's dry. And it reclines, so it's more comfortable than it looks." "Thank you," Evelyn said. She meant it more than he probably knew. "For everything. For letting me in, for the soup, for all of it." Marcus nodded. Anyone would have done the same. But Evelyn wasn't sure that was true. She thought about her mother, about Grant, about the people she knew back in the city. How many of them would have opened their door to a stranger in a storm? How many of them would have shared their food, their space, their kindness without asking for anything in return? Not many. "Good night, Marcus," she said softly. "Good night, Evelyn." He turned off the flashlight and went down the hallway to his room. Evelyn lay down on the recliner and pulled the quilt up to her chin. It smelled like laundry detergent and something else, something warm and lived in. She stared up at the ceiling, listening to the rain slow to a steady patter. Her hand still hurt a little under the bandage, and she was still damp, but she felt safe, safer than she had in a long time. And as she drifted off to sleep, her last thought was of that tag on the fuse box. Heart Holdings, her family, her name. She'd have to tell him the truth eventually, but tonight, she just let herself be Evelyn. Nothing more, nothing less. Tomorrow, she'd figure out the rest. Evelyn woke to the smell of coffee. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. The ceiling above her was unfamiliar, and the quilt tucked around her wasn't hers. Then she heard the soft clink of dishes and remembered. The storm, the wrong house, Marcus, and Lily. She sat up slowly, her neck stiff from sleeping in the recliner. Morning light came through the windows, pale and clean. The storm was over. Outside, everything looked washed and new. The clock on the wall said it was almost 7. Evelyn folded the quilt and stood up, running her fingers through her hair. She probably looked terrible. Wrinkled clothes, no makeup, hair a mess. But there wasn't much she could do about it now. She walked toward the kitchen and found Marcus at the counter, pouring coffee into a metal percolator. He'd already changed into fresh clothes, jeans and a navy blue work shirt with his name stitched on the pocket. "Morning," he said when he saw her. "Coffee?" "Please," Evelyn said. "Thank you." He poured her a cup and handed it over. Their fingers brushed for just a second, and Evelyn felt that warmth again. She took a sip. It was strong and hot and exactly what she needed. "Sleep okay?" Marcus asked. "Better than I expected," Evelyn admitted. "That recliner's more comfortable than it looks." "Told you," he said with a small smile. A knock came at the front door. Marcus frowned and set down his cup. "Little early for visitors." He opened the door and a woman stood there holding a thermos and a paper bag. She was older, maybe in her 60s, with short gray hair and sharp eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. She wore a bright yellow raincoat even though the storm was over. "Morning, Marcus," the woman said. "Brought you some muffins and hot coffee. Figured your power went out last night." "Morning, Mrs. Alvarez," Marcus said. "Yeah, it did. Came back on about an hour ago, though. Thanks for this." Mrs. Alvarez stepped inside and spotted Evelyn in the kitchen. Her eyebrows went up just a little, but she didn't say anything. She just looked at Evelyn the way someone looks at a puzzle they're trying to figure out. "This is Evelyn," Marcus said. "She got lost in the storm last night and ended up here by mistake. Evelyn, this is Mrs. Alvarez. She lives next door." "Nice to meet you," Evelyn said, feeling suddenly self-conscious. "You too, honey," Mrs. Alvarez said. Her voice was warm, but her eyes were still sharp. "You must have been pretty turned around to end up here instead of the cottages." "I was," Evelyn admitted. "My phone died right when I needed it most." Mrs. Alvarez nodded slowly. Then she looked at Marcus. "Power company finally showed up?" "Eventually," Marcus said. "But they didn't come by to check the box. Just flipped it back on from the main line, I think." Mrs. Alvarez said. "Heart Holdings was supposed to send someone last month to check the wiring in all these units. Never did. Guess they're too busy to bother with us little people." Evelyn's stomach dropped. She kept her face neutral, but inside, her heart was pounding. Hart Holdings, her family, and they'd promised maintenance that never happened. "Well, I'll manage," Marcus said. "Always do." Mrs. Alvarez patted his arm. "I know you will. You're a good man, Marcus Reed." She glanced at Evelyn one more time, then headed toward the door. "You take care now, both of you." When she was gone, Marcus brought the muffins to the kitchen table and set them down. "Help yourself," he said. "Mrs. Alvarez makes the best blueberry muffins in town." Evelyn took one, but she barely tasted it. Her mind was stuck on what Mrs. Alvarez had said. Maintenance that never happened, promises broken, and it was her family's company that had broken them. She looked across the kitchen at the fuse box on the wall, at the Hart Holdings tag. She had to tell him. She couldn't sit here drinking his coffee and eating his neighbor's muffins while keeping this secret. It wasn't right. "Marcus," she said quietly. He looked up from his own muffin. "Yeah?" Evelyn set down her coffee cup. Her hand was shaking a little. "There's something I need to tell you about this house." Marcus went still. "Okay." She took a breath. "My last name isn't just Hart. It's Hart from Hart Holdings. My family owns the company, and I didn't know they manage properties out here until I saw the tag on your fuse box last night." The silence that followed felt heavy. Marcus didn't move. He just looked at her, his face unreadable. "You're telling me," he said slowly, "that your family owns this house?" "Yes," Evelyn said. "Or the company does, at least. I'm not involved in the day-to-day operations, but yes, it's my family's business." Marcus leaned back in his chair. He rubbed his jaw, thinking. "And you didn't mention this last night because I didn't want it to change anything," Evelyn said quickly. "You were helping me because I needed help, not because of who my family is or what they own. I didn't want that to get in the way." "But you're telling me now," Marcus said. "Because I don't want to lie," Evelyn said. "And because Mrs. Alvarez just reminded me that my family's company made promises they didn't keep. If maintenance didn't happen, that's on us, on me, and you deserve to know who you're talking to." Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Okay, I appreciate the honesty, even if it's coming a little late." "I'm sorry," Evelyn said. "Don't be sorry for who your family is," Marcus said. "Just be honest about it. That's all I ask." "I will," Evelyn promised. "From now on?" He looked at her, and something in his eyes softened. "You didn't have to tell me. You could have just left this morning and I never would have known." "I could have," Evelyn agreed, "but I didn't want to." Marcus picked up his coffee and took a long sip. Then he said, "For what it's worth, you're not what I expected from someone whose family owns half the buildings in town." Evelyn laughed, surprised. "What did you expect?" "I don't know," Marcus said with a small smile. "Someone who wouldn't help catch leaks in a stranger's hallway, I guess." Footsteps padded down the hall, and Lily appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. She still wore her star pajamas, and her hair stuck up in places. "Morning, Lilybug," Marcus said. "Morning, Daddy." Lily climbed into the chair next to him and looked at Evelyn. "You're still here." "I am," Evelyn said. "Is that okay?" Lily nodded seriously. "It's okay. Rex liked you." Evelyn smiled. "Well, I liked Rex too." Marcus poured Lily a small cup of orange juice and set a muffin in front of her. "Eat up, Lilybug. School day." "Do I have to?" Lily asked, tearing off a piece of muffin. "Yes, you have to," Marcus said. "Learning is important." Lily sighed, like this was the worst news in the world, and Evelyn had to hide her smile. After breakfast, Marcus went out to start his truck. Evelyn heard the engine. Turn over once, twice, 3 times. Then nothing. Marcus came back inside, frowning. "Won't start?" Evelyn asked. Starter's probably shot, Marcus said. He looked at the clock. I've got a job at 9, and Lily needs to be at school by 8:15. I can give you a ride, Evelyn said immediately. Marcus hesitated. You don't have to. I know, Evelyn said. But I'm offering. My car's right outside, and I'm not doing anything else this morning. Marcus looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. Okay, thank you. That'd help a lot. 20 minutes later, they were in Evelyn's car, a sleek silver sedan that felt too fancy for this small-town morning. Lily sat in the back, buckled in carefully, while Marcus rode in the passenger seat with directions pulled up on his phone. The elementary school was only a few blocks away, a low brick building with colorful murals on the outside walls. Marcus walked Lily to the door, and Evelyn watched from the car as he knelt down to zip up her jacket and say something that made her smile. When he came back, a woman was walking beside him. A teacher, Evelyn guessed, based on the lanyard around her neck. Marcus, is this Lily's mom? The teacher asked brightly, looking at Evelyn through the car window. Evelyn's stomach twisted. She started to shake her head, but Marcus spoke first. No, ma'am, he said politely. Just a friend giving us a ride. Truck wouldn't start this morning. Oh, the teacher said, looking a little embarrassed. I'm sorry. I just assumed. It's fine, Marcus said. Easy mistake. But it wasn't fine. Evelyn could see it in the way Marcus's shoulders tensed, in the way he didn't quite meet the teacher's eyes. He'd heard that assumption before, she realized, probably more times than she could count. People seeing him with a woman and deciding they knew the story. When he got back in the car, Evelyn said quietly, I'm sorry about that. Not your fault, Marcus said. People see what they want to see. They drove in silence for a few blocks. Then Marcus gave her directions to a small commercial building on the edge of town, a dentist's office that needed some wiring fixed. This is me, he said when they pulled into the parking lot. Thanks for the ride. Marcus, Evelyn said before he could get out. I'm in town to review some properties for my family's company. I wanted you to know that, in case it affects you. Marcus's hand paused on the door handle. What kind of review? I don't know all the details yet, Evelyn admitted. But I'll tell you anything that involves this house before I tell anyone else. I promise. Marcus studied her face. Why would you do that? Because you asked me to be honest, Evelyn said simply. And because it's the right thing to do. Marcus nodded slowly. Okay, I appreciate that. He opened the door, then paused. And Evelyn, thank you for everything. You're welcome, she said. She watched him walk toward the building, his toolbox in one hand, and his phone in the other. Then she pulled out of the parking lot and headed toward the lake cottages. She had to find the place she was actually supposed to be staying. And after that, she had to figure out what to do about the fact that she was falling for a man whose home her family controlled. The cottage was easy to find in daylight. It sat right on the water, painted white with blue shutters. Inside, it was clean and carefully decorated. Nothing like Marcus's house, which had felt lived in and real. Evelyn unpacked her bag and plugged in her phone. As it charged, messages started coming through. 3 from her mother, 2 from Grant, 1 from her assistant. She ignored all of them and took a shower instead. By the time she was dressed in clean clothes, it was almost 10. She made herself a cup of tea and sat by the window, looking out at the lake. It was beautiful here, quiet and peaceful, the kind of place people came to think. But Evelyn couldn't stop thinking about Marcus and Lily, about the way Lily had set her plastic dinosaur next to the bucket to guard it, about the way Marcus's hands had been so gentle wrapping her cut, about the way he'd looked at her when she told him the truth. Her phone buzzed, A text from her mother. "Where are you?" "We need to discuss the property plans. Meet me at the cafe at noon." Evelyn sighed. She'd known this was coming. Her mother didn't waste time. She texted back, "I'll be there." The cafe was small and charming, with tables overlooking the lake. Her mother was already there when Evelyn arrived, sitting by the window in a cream-colored suit that probably cost more than most people's rent. "Evelyn," her mother said, standing to kiss her cheek. "You look tired." "I didn't sleep well," Evelyn said, which was partly true. They ordered salads for both of them, water with lemon. Then her mother pulled out a folder and opened it on the table. "I've been reviewing the lake properties," she said. "The cottages are fine, but the duplex row needs updating. We're looking at full renovations, new kitchens, new bathrooms, new flooring. It'll increase the rental value significantly." Evelyn's stomach tightened. "And the current tenants?" "We'll give them notice, of course," her mother said. 60 days, that's more than fair." "Fair for who?" Evelyn asked quietly. Her mother looked up, surprised. "Evelyn, this is business. We can't let properties sit and lose value because we're worried about inconveniencing a few renters." "They're people, Mom," Evelyn said. "Not just renters. They have lives, routines, kids in school." "And they'll find new places," her mother said firmly. "This is how real estate works. You know that." Evelyn thought about Marcus, about Lily, about the Hart Holdings tag on the fuse box and Mrs. Alvarez's comment about promises that were never kept. "What if we didn't displace them?" Evelyn said. "What if we renovated one unit at a time and let people stay?" Her mother frowned. "That would take twice as long." "But it would be humane," Evelyn said. Before her mother could respond, the cafe door opened. Grant walked in, smiling his perfect smile, looking like he'd just stepped out of a magazine. He spotted them immediately and walked over. "There you are," he said to Evelyn. "I've been trying to reach you." "I've been busy," Evelyn said. Grant pulled out a chair and sat down without being invited. "Your mother told me you were reviewing properties. I thought we could discuss the announcement." "What announcement?" Evelyn asked, though she had a sinking feeling she already knew. "Our engagement," Grant said smoothly. "The dinner got postponed, but we should reschedule. People are asking questions." "There's no engagement, Grant," Evelyn said firmly. "I told you that." Grant's smile didn't waver. "Evelyn, we both know you just need time to think. That's why you're here, right? To clear your head?" "I'm here to work," Evelyn said. "And to get away from the pressure," Grant added. He leaned forward, lowering his voice like they were sharing a secret. "I understand, but running away to a small town doesn't change the fact that we're good together. Everyone knows it." "Everyone except me," Evelyn said quietly. Her mother sighed. "Evelyn, Grant has been patient. He cares about you." "He cares about what I represent," Evelyn said. "There's a difference." She stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. "I need some air." "Evelyn," her mother started. But Evelyn was already walking toward the door. She heard Grant call after her, but she didn't stop. She couldn't be in that cafe for another second, listening to them plan her life like she wasn't even there. Outside, she leaned against her car and took deep breaths. Her hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't from the cold. It was from anger, from frustration, from the weight of expectations she'd been carrying for so long she'd almost forgotten they weren't hers. Her phone buzzed, a text from Marcus. "Truck's fixed. Got a new starter. Thanks again for this morning." Evelyn stared at the message. Simple, direct, honest. Everything the conversation in the cafe hadn't been. She texted back, "I'm glad it's fixed. Let me know if you need anything else." A moment later, another message came through. I will. And Evelyn? Whatever you're dealing with today, you've got this. Evelyn felt tears sting her eyes. He didn't even know what she was dealing with, but he believed in her anyway. When was the last time someone had done that? She got in her car and drove. Not back to the cottage. Not to her mother or Grant. She drove to the duplex where Marcus lived. His truck was in the driveway. She could see it through the windshield. Older, a little dinged up, but running now. She parked on the street and walked up to the front door. Before she could knock, the door opened. Marcus stood there, still in his work shirt, looking surprised. Evelyn, he said, everything okay? No, she said, honestly. But I needed to tell you something, before anyone else does. Marcus stepped aside. Come in. They sat at the kitchen table, the same table where they'd had coffee that morning. Evelyn folded her hands in her lap and made herself say the words. My mother wants to renovate the duplexes. She's planning to give 60-day notices to all the tenants so they can do full updates. Marcus went very still. When? I don't know, Evelyn said. She just told me today, but I'm going to fight it. I'm going to push for renovating one unit at a time so people don't have to move. I can't promise it'll work, but I'm going to try. Marcus looked down at the table. His jaw was tight. Why are you telling me this? Because I promised I'd tell you first, Evelyn said. And because you deserve to know what's coming. Even if it cost you something with your family, Marcus said slowly. Yes, Evelyn said. Even then. Marcus lifted his head and looked at her. Really looked at her. And in his eyes she saw something shift. Surprise, maybe, or respect. Thank you, he said quietly. That couldn't have been easy. It wasn't, Evelyn admitted. But it was right. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Marcus said, For what it's worth, I believe you, that you'll try. Good, Evelyn said, because I will. The front door opened, and Mrs. Alvarez walked in carrying a casserole dish. She stopped when she saw Evelyn. Well, she said, this is getting interesting. Mrs. Alvarez set the casserole dish on the counter and looked between Evelyn and Marcus with knowing eyes. Don't mind me, she said. Just dropping off some dinner for you and Lily, but I can see you've got company. It's fine, Mrs. Alvarez, Marcus said, standing up. Evelyn was just telling you the truth, Mrs. Alvarez interrupted. She looked at Evelyn. That takes courage, honey, especially when the truth isn't easy. Evelyn felt her face warm. You heard? Thin walls, Mrs. Alvarez said with a small shrug. And I wasn't trying to listen, but I heard enough. She moved toward the door, then paused. For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Both of you. After she left, Marcus shook his head. She always knows everything. She seems like a good neighbor, Evelyn said. The best, Marcus agreed. He looked at the casserole dish. She's been looking out for us since we moved in. Lily loves her. Evelyn stood up slowly. I should go. Let you get ready for when Lily comes home. Evelyn, Marcus said, thank you for coming here, for telling me yourself. Of course, Evelyn said, and she meant it. As she drove back to the cottage, her phone rang, her mother. Evelyn let it go to voicemail. She wasn't ready for that conversation yet. She needed to think, to plan, to figure out how to fight for something she believed in without losing everything else. 2 days passed. Evelyn spent them researching renovation timelines, talking to contractors, and building a proposal that would let tenants stay during updates. It meant more time and slightly less profit, but it was possible. She just had to convince her mother it was worth it. On Saturday morning, she drove to Marcus's house with a bag of bagels and a thermos of coffee. She knew it was early, but she also knew he'd be awake. Single dads didn't get to sleep in. Marcus answered the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt, his hair still messy from sleep. "Evelyn, it's 8 o'clock." "I know," she said, holding up the bag. "I brought breakfast, peace offering for showing up unannounced." He smiled, a real smile, warm and surprised. "Come in." Lily was at the kitchen table in her pajamas, coloring a picture of what looked like a rainbow over a house. She looked up when Evelyn walked in. "Miss Evelyn," she said happily. "You came back." "I did," Evelyn said, setting the bagels on the counter. "I hope that's okay." "It's very okay," Lily said seriously. "Daddy said you're nice, and we should be nice back." Marcus rubbed his face, embarrassed. "Lily." "What?" Lily asked innocently. "You did say that?" Evelyn laughed. It felt good to laugh. "Well, your daddy's right. We should all be nice to each other." They ate bagels with cream cheese while Lily talked about her week at school. She'd learned about butterflies and how they started as caterpillars. She'd read 3 whole books by herself. She'd made a new friend named Emma who had a cat. Marcus listened patiently, asking questions, praising her reading. Evelyn watched him with Lily and felt something tighten in her chest. He was such a good father. Steady, present, the kind of parent who showed up every single day, no matter what. After breakfast, Marcus suggested they fix the old lamp Mrs. Alvarez had given them from her garage sale finds. One of the legs was wobbly, and the switch stuck sometimes. "You know how to fix lamps?" Evelyn asked. "I'm an electrician," Marcus said with a grin. "If I can't fix a lamp, I'm in the wrong line of work." They worked at the kitchen table while Lily played with her toys in the living room. Marcus showed Evelyn how to tighten the screws on the base and clean the switch mechanism. His hands moved with confidence, and he explained everything in simple terms that made sense. "You're a good teacher," Evelyn said. "I try," Marcus said. "Lily asks a lot of questions. I got used to explaining things." When the lamp was fixed, Marcus plugged it in. The light came on steady and bright. Lily clapped from the doorway. "It works," she said. "It does," Marcus agreed. "Want to help me find a spot for it?" "In my room," Lily said immediately. Marcus carried the lamp down the hallway, and Lily followed, chattering about exactly where it should go. Evelyn stayed at the table, looking around the small kitchen. It wasn't fancy. The counters were old, and the cabinets could use updating, but it was clean and cared for. It was a home. Her phone buzzed, a text from Grant. "Saw you drive past the cafe this morning. We should talk." Evelyn deleted the message without responding. When Marcus came back, he poured them both more coffee and sat down across from her. "So," he said, "how's the property proposal coming?" "Slowly," Evelyn admitted. "I have most of the numbers worked out, but convincing my mother is going to be the hard part. She's not big on changing plans once she's made them." "What about you?" Marcus asked. "Are you good at changing plans?" Evelyn thought about that. "I used to just follow whatever plan was already made. My mother's plan, Grant's plan. But lately, I've been thinking maybe I should make my own." "And what's your plan?" Marcus asked quietly. Evelyn met his eyes. "To do the right thing, even when it's hard." Marcus nodded slowly. "That's a good plan." Lily ran back into the kitchen. "Daddy, can we go to the lake? It's sunny today." Marcus looked at Evelyn. "Want to come? It's a nice walk, and Lily loves feeding the ducks." Evelyn knew she should probably go back to the cottage and work on her proposal. But she also knew she didn't want to. Not really. "I'd love to," she said. They walked to the lake together, Marcus, Lily, and Evelyn. Lily held Marcus's hand on one side and Evelyn's on the other, swinging between them. The sky was clear and blue, and the air smelled like pine and water. At the lake, they found a bench near the shore. Lily ran ahead to look for ducks, staying close enough that Marcus could see her, but far enough to feel independent. "She's got a good balance of brave and careful," Evelyn said. "She's teaching me that balance too," Marcus said. "After her mom left, I was scared of everything. Scared I'd mess up, scared I couldn't do it alone. But Lily needed me to be steady, so I learned how." Evelyn wanted to ask about Lily's mother, but she waited. If Marcus wanted to share, he would. After a moment, he continued. "Her mom left when Lily was 2. Said she wasn't ready to be a parent. Wasn't ready for the responsibility. I was angry for a long time. But then I realized being angry wasn't helping Lily, so I focused on being present instead." "That must have been hard," Evelyn said softly. "It was," Marcus admitted. "But Lily made it worth it. She always does." Lily came running back with a smooth stone she'd found. "Look, Daddy, it's shaped like a heart." Marcus took the stone and examined it seriously. "You're right, that's a keeper." Lily beamed and put the stone in her pocket. Then she looked at Evelyn. "Do you have a little girl?" "No," Evelyn said gently. "I don't have any children." "Why not?" Lily asked, with the blunt curiosity of a 6-year-old. Marcus started to intervene. "Lily, it's okay," Evelyn said. She thought about how to answer honestly. "I guess I've been waiting for the right time, and the right person to share it with." Lily nodded, like this made perfect sense. "Daddy says good things take time." "Your daddy's very smart," Evelyn said. They stayed at the lake until early afternoon. On the walk back, Lily ran ahead again, and Marcus and Evelyn walked side by side. Their hands brushed once, twice. The third time, Marcus took her hand and held it. Evelyn's heart jumped. She looked at him, and he looked back, a question in his eyes. She squeezed his hand in answer. They didn't say anything. They didn't need to. Some things were better felt than spoken. When they got back to Marcus's house, Evelyn knew she should leave. She had work to do. But standing on his porch, with his hand still in hers, leaving felt impossible. "Thank you for today," she said quietly. "Thank you for coming," Marcus said. He stepped closer, and Evelyn's breath caught. He was going to kiss her. She could see it in his eyes, in the way he leaned in just slightly. And she wanted him to. She wanted it so much it scared her. But then Lily opened the front door. "I'm hungry. Can we have lunch?" Marcus stepped back, laughing softly. "Duty calls." "Go," Evelyn said, smiling. "Feed your daughter." "Will you come back?" Marcus asked. "For dinner, maybe? Nothing fancy. Just us." Evelyn thought about her mother, about Grant, about the proposal she still needed to finish. Then she thought about Marcus's hand in hers, and the way Lily had held a heart-shaped stone like it was treasure. "Yes," she said. "I'll come back." That evening, Evelyn returned with a salad and a pie from the bakery in town. Marcus made spaghetti, and they ate together at the small kitchen table. Lily told jokes she'd learned at school, silly ones that didn't quite make sense, and they all laughed anyway. After dinner, they washed dishes side by side. Marcus washed, Evelyn dried. It was simple and domestic, and so different from anything Evelyn had known before. In her world, people hired others to do these things, but here, doing them together felt like its own kind of intimacy. When Lily was in bed, Marcus and Evelyn sat on the couch with tea. The fixed lamp glowed softly from Lily's room down the hall. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said. "Of course." "Why are you really here?" he asked. "In this town, I mean. Your mother could have sent anyone to review properties. Why you? Evelyn set down her tea. Because I was supposed to get engaged to Grant. There was a dinner planned, announcements ready, but I couldn't do it. I realized I didn't love him. Maybe I never did. So I called it off, and my mother sent me here to think things through. She thinks I'll change my mind. Will you? Marcus asked quietly. No, Evelyn said, because being here showed me what I was missing. Real connection. Honest kindness. People who show up not because they have to, but because they want to. Marcus looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, I'm glad you knocked on the wrong door. Me too, Evelyn whispered. He reached over and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. His hand lingered there, warm against her cheek. Evelyn closed her eyes, leaning into his touch. When she opened them again, he was closer. His eyes searched hers, asking permission. She nodded, just barely. Marcus kissed her softly, gently, like she was something precious. Evelyn's heart hammered in her chest, and when they pulled apart, she was breathless. I should go, she said, though she didn't want to. Probably, Marcus agreed, but he was smiling. At the door, he kissed her again, just a quick, sweet press of lips. Drive safe. I will, Evelyn promised. She drove back to the cottage with the windows down, letting the cool night air clear her head. She felt like she was floating, like something inside her had woken up after a long sleep. But when she got to the cottage, reality was waiting. Grant's car was parked in the driveway. Evelyn's stomach dropped. She sat in her car for a moment, trying to decide what to do. Then she got out and walked to the front door. Grant was sitting on the porch steps, his phone in his hand. He looked up when he heard her footsteps. There you are, he said, standing. I've been waiting. How did you know where I was staying? Evelyn asked. Your mother told me, Grant said. She's worried about you, Evelyn. We both are. I'm fine, Evelyn said firmly. And you shouldn't be here. I saw you today, Grant said, walking by the lake with that man and his daughter, holding his hand. Evelyn's blood went cold. You followed me? I was driving by, Grant said, and I saw you, looking very cozy with your little project. He's not a project, Evelyn said, anger rising in her chest. And what I do with my time is none of your business. Grant stepped closer. Evelyn, come on. You're not seriously interested in him. He's a single dad renting a house your family owns. You're a heart. This is just rebellion. No, Evelyn said quietly. This is me finally being honest about what I want. And it's not you. Grant's jaw tightened. You're making a mistake. One that could cost your family's reputation. Do you really want people talking about how you're slumming it with a tenant? Get off my porch, Evelyn said coldly. I'm trying to help you, Grant said. No, you're not, Evelyn said. You're trying to control me, just like you always have, just like my mother does. But I'm done with that. She walked past him and unlocked the door. Grant grabbed her arm, not hard, but firm enough to stop her. Let go, Evelyn said. He did, immediately, but his eyes were hard. You'll regret this. The only thing I regret, Evelyn said, is not ending this sooner. She went inside and locked the door behind her. Through the window, she watched Grant stand there for a moment before finally getting in his car and driving away. Evelyn's hands were shaking. She sat down on the couch and took deep breaths, trying to calm down. Grant had never grabbed her before, never been that direct with his anger. It scared her, but it also made her more certain that ending things with him was the right choice. She pulled out her phone and texted Marcus. Are you still awake? A moment later, he replied. Yeah, Everything okay? Evelyn hesitated. She didn't want to drag him into her problems with Grant, but she also didn't want to lie. Grant showed up at my cottage. He saw us at the lake today. He wasn't happy. Marcus called immediately. Evelyn answered. Are you safe? He asked, his voice tight with concern. Yes, Evelyn said. He left. I'm okay. Did he threaten you? Not exactly, Evelyn said. He just said things about you, about us, trying to make me doubt this. And did it work? Marcus asked quietly. No, Evelyn said. It made me more sure. She heard Marcus exhale slowly. Okay, but if he comes back, you call me. Or the police. I don't care what his connection to your family is. You don't owe him anything. I know, Evelyn said softly. Thank you. They talked for a few more minutes, Marcus making sure she was really okay, Evelyn reassuring him that she was. When they finally hung up, Evelyn felt steadier, safer. She looked at her proposal documents spread across the coffee table. Tomorrow, she'd meet with her mother. She'd fight for Marcus's home and the homes of everyone else in those duplexes. And no matter what Grant said or did, she wouldn't back down. Monday morning came too quickly. Evelyn met her mother at the office building where Hart Holdings had a small satellite location. It was just the two of them in a conference room with windows overlooking the lake. Evelyn laid out her proposal: renovation schedules that worked around tenant needs, phased updates that wouldn't require anyone to move, cost analyses that showed it was financially viable. Her mother listened without interrupting. When Evelyn finished, there was silence. This is more expensive, her mother finally said. And it takes longer. Yes, Evelyn agreed. But it's better for the people who live there. And it's better for our reputation. We can be the company that cares about its tenants, not the one that displaces them. People will see it as weakness, her mother said. Some will, Evelyn said. But others will see it as strength, as doing the right thing even when it's harder. Her mother tapped her pen on the table. Grant called me this morning. He said you're making decisions based on personal feelings rather than business sense. Evelyn's jaw tightened. Grant doesn't know what he's talking about. He said you're involved with one of the tenants, her mother continued. Is that true? Evelyn could lie. She could deny it, but she'd promised Marcus honesty, and she'd promised herself the same thing. Yes, she said. I am. But that doesn't change the fact that this proposal makes sense. Look at the numbers, Mom. Look at the research. This works. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, You've never stood up to me like this before. I know, Evelyn said. It's about time, her mother said quietly. Evelyn looked up, surprised. What? You've been letting other people make your choices for years? Her mother said. Grant. Me. Everyone who thought they knew what was best for you. But this... She gestured at the proposal. This is you deciding. You caring about something enough to fight for it. So, you'll consider it? Evelyn asked, hardly daring to hope. I'll consider it, her mother said. I'm not promising anything yet, but I'll look at the numbers. Really look at them. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no either. And right now, that was enough. Evelyn left the meeting feeling lighter than she had in days. She drove straight to Marcus's house. He was in the driveway, working on his truck's oil change. He looked up when he heard her car and smiled. How'd it go? She's considering it, Evelyn said, getting out of the car. She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no. Marcus set down his wrench and walked over to her. That's good. That's really good. I hope so, Evelyn said. He pulled her into a hug, and Evelyn let herself lean into him. His shirt smelled like motor oil and laundry detergent. She didn't care. Being in his arms felt like coming home. Whatever happens, Marcus said quietly, thank you for trying. I'm not done yet, Evelyn said. I won't stop until I know for sure. Marcus pulled back just enough to look at her face. Then he kissed her, longer this time, deeper. When they broke apart, Evelyn was smiling. Lily's at school? She asked. Until 3, Marcus confirmed. Want help with the truck? Evelyn offered. Marcus grinned. You know how to change oil? No, Evelyn admitted, but I can learn. So he taught her. They worked side by side in the driveway, Marcus explaining each step while Evelyn handed him tools and asked questions. It was messy and practical and absolutely perfect. But as the afternoon shadows grew longer, Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming, something that would test everything they were building. She just didn't know what it was yet. The notice came on a Tuesday afternoon. Evelyn was at the cottage finishing up some emails when her phone rang. It was Marcus. She answered immediately. Hey, she said, smiling. What's up? There's a paper on my doorstep, Marcus said. His voice was flat, empty. Notice to vacate. 60 days for renovations. Evelyn's blood turned to ice. What? It's official, Marcus said. Hart Holdings letterhead, signed by the property manager. They're moving forward with the renovations. No, Evelyn said, already grabbing her car keys. No, my mother said she was considering my proposal. She didn't. Maybe she considered it and said no, Marcus interrupted. His voice was so calm it scared her. Or maybe this was always the plan and you just didn't know. Marcus, I didn't. Did you know about this? He asked. Before today? No, Evelyn said firmly. I swear to you, I had no idea. I'm coming over right now. Don't, Marcus said quietly. I need to think. Marcus, please. I asked you to tell me first, he said. Before anyone else. You promised. I didn't know, Evelyn said, tears burning her eyes. You have to believe me. There was a long silence. Then Marcus said, I want to believe you, but right now, I need space to figure this out, for Lily. The line went dead. Evelyn stood frozen in the middle of the cottage, her phone still pressed to her ear. Her heart was pounding so hard it hurt. She'd promised Marcus she'd tell him first. She'd promised to fight for his home, and now he had a notice to vacate, and she hadn't known anything about it. She called her mother. No answer. She called the property manager. Voicemail. She called her mother again and again until finally, on the 5th try, her mother picked up. Evelyn, I'm in a meeting. Did you send eviction notices to the duplex tenants? Evelyn demanded. Her mother sighed. They're not evictions. They're notices to vacate for renovations. It's standard procedure. You said you were considering my proposal. I did consider it, her mother said. And I decided to move forward with the original plan. It makes more financial sense. You didn't even tell me, Evelyn said, her voice breaking. You just went ahead and did it. Because I knew you'd react exactly like this, her mother said. Evelyn, this is business. I can't let personal feelings interfere with what's best for the company. What about what's best for the people? Evelyn asked. The ones who actually live there? They'll find other places, her mother said. I'm sorry if this affects your friend, but the decision is made. Evelyn hung up. She didn't trust herself to say anything else. She drove to Marcus's house anyway, even though he'd asked for space. She had to explain. She had to make him understand that she hadn't known, hadn't wanted this. But when she pulled up to his house, Grant's car was parked at the curb. Evelyn's stomach dropped. She got out of her car and walked up the driveway. She could see Grant through the window, standing in Marcus's living room, talking. She couldn't hear what he was saying, But Marcus's face was closed off, angry. She knocked on the door. Marcus opened it, and when he saw her, something in his expression shifted. Not quite anger. Something worse. Disappointment. "You should go," he said quietly. "Marcus, please," Evelyn said. "Let me explain." "Grant already did," Marcus said. "He told me everything about how your mother made the decision days ago, about how you knew and didn't say anything because you were afraid I'd be angry." "That's not true," Evelyn said desperately. "I didn't know. Grant is lying." Grant appeared behind Marcus, his face arranged in false sympathy. "Evelyn, there's no point in denying it now. Marcus deserves honesty." "I am being honest," Evelyn said, her voice rising. "I found out about the notice at the same time he did. I didn't know my mother was moving forward. I was still trying to convince her to do the right thing." "The right thing," Grant repeated. Interesting. Choice of words. When doing the right thing would have meant telling Marcus the truth from the beginning. That you're a heart. That your family owns his home. That no matter what pretty promises you made, you were always going to put your family first. Marcus's jaw tightened. "I think you should leave, Evelyn." "Marcus, please," he said, and the word was so quiet, so tired, that it broke her heart. "I need to be with my daughter right now. I need to figure out what we're going to do. And I can't do that with you here." Evelyn felt tears spill down her cheeks. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She turned and walked back to her car. Behind her, she heard the door close. Not slammed, just closed. Somehow, that was worse. Grant followed her to her car. "I tried to warn you," he said. "This was always going to end badly." Evelyn whirled on him. "You did this. You told my mother to move forward with the renovations, didn't you? You pushed her to do it now, before I could change her mind." Grant smiled. "I gave her good business advice. That's all." "You're a coward," Evelyn said. "You couldn't win me back, so you're trying to destroy the one good thing I've found." "I'm trying to save you from making a mistake," Grant said. "You'll thank me eventually." Evelyn got in her car and drove away before she said something she'd regret. She drove back to the cottage, her vision blurred with tears. She'd lost him. She'd lost Marcus and Lily because she hadn't been fast enough, smart enough, strong enough to protect them. When she got to the cottage, she sat in her car and let herself cry. Really cry. The kind of crying that came from somewhere deep and hurt. After a while, there was a knock on her car window. Evelyn looked up and saw Mrs. Alvarez standing there with a concerned expression. "Honey," Mrs. Alvarez said through the glass. "Come inside. You shouldn't be alone right now." Evelyn didn't know how Mrs. Alvarez had found her. Maybe she'd followed her. Maybe she'd just known. Either way, Evelyn was grateful. She got out of the car and followed Mrs. Alvarez into the cottage. The older woman made tea without asking and sat Evelyn down on the couch. "Now," Mrs. Alvarez said, "tell me what happened." So Evelyn did. She told her everything. The proposal, her mother's decision, Grant's lies, Marcus asking her to leave. By the time she finished, her tea was cold and her throat was raw. Mrs. Alvarez was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "That boy's scared." "Of what?" Evelyn asked. "Of being used," Mrs. Alvarez said. "Of being someone's charity case or rebellion. He's been hurt before and he's got Lily to protect. So when things look bad, his first instinct is to shut down and protect what's his." "But I wasn't using him," Evelyn said. "I care about him, about both of them." "I know that," Mrs. Alvarez said. "And deep down, he knows it too. But fear makes people do foolish things. Makes them push away the very people who could help them." "So what do I do?" Evelyn asked. Mrs. Alvarez patted her hand. You show up, not with words, but with actions. You prove that you're not going anywhere. And you give him time to remember who you really are. What if he doesn't want to see me? Evelyn whispered. Then you wait until he does, Mrs. Alvarez said gently. Love isn't just the easy moments, honey. It's the hard ones, too. It's staying when things get messy. It's fighting for what matters, even when you're scared. Evelyn nodded slowly. Thank you. Don't thank me yet, Mrs. Alvarez said. You've still got work to do. That night, Evelyn sat at the cottage table and wrote a letter. Not an email, not a text. A real letter, handwritten on paper, the way people used to do when words mattered. Dear Marcus, I know you need space, and I'm going to give that to you. But first, I need you to know the truth. I didn't know about the notice. My mother made that decision without telling me, and Grant knew that would happen. He probably pushed her to do it. I was still working on my proposal, still trying to convince her that there was a better way. I understand why you're angry. I understand why you don't trust me right now. I promised to tell you first, and even though I didn't know, I still failed to protect you. I'm sorry for that, but I'm not sorry for caring about you. I'm not sorry for falling for you and Lily, and I'm not going to stop fighting for what's right. I'm going to fix this. I don't know how yet, but I will. Not because I expect anything from you, and not because I'm trying to prove something. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do. Because you and Lily deserve a home, and nobody should take that away from you. When you're ready to talk, I'll be here. Until then, know that I'm on your side. I always have been. Evelyn. She folded the letter and put it in an envelope. Then she drove to Mrs. Alvarez's house and knocked on the door. Can you give this to Marcus? Evelyn asked. When he's calm enough to read it? Mrs. Alvarez took the envelope. I will. And Evelyn, don't give up on him. He's worth the fight. I know, Evelyn said softly. That's why I'm not giving up. The next morning, Evelyn went to her mother's office. She didn't call ahead. She didn't make an appointment. She just walked in and sat down across from her mother's desk. Evelyn, her mother said, surprised. I wasn't expecting you. I need you to reverse the notices, Evelyn said. All of them. Her mother's eyebrows rose. That's not possible. They've already been sent. The legal process has started. Then stop it, Evelyn said. You have that power. And if I do that, her mother said slowly, the company looks weak, indecisive, like we don't know what we're doing. Or we look human, Evelyn said, like we listened and made a better choice. Her mother leaned back in her chair. This is about that man, isn't it? The tenant. It's about all of them, Evelyn said. But yes, it's also about Marcus and Lily, and the fact that they've done nothing wrong except trust that Hart Holdings would be a fair landlord. Evelyn, you can't run a business on feelings. No, Evelyn agreed, but you can't run one without a conscience either. And if you go through with these evictions, they're not evictions. That's what they are to the people receiving them, Evelyn interrupted. If you do this, I'm stepping away from the company, completely. No more property reviews, no more board meetings, no more family business. I'll find my own way. Her mother went very still. You'd walk away from everything we've built? If it means building something I believe in instead? Evelyn said. Yes, I would. The silence that followed was heavy. Her mother looked at Evelyn like she was seeing her for the first time. Really seeing her. You've changed, her mother said finally. I have, Evelyn agreed, because I finally figured out who I want to be. And it's not someone who puts profit over people. Her mother stood and walked to the window. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, If I reverse the notices, I want your proposal. The full plan for phased renovations. I want it on my desk by Friday. Evelyn's heart leaped. You'll do it? I'll consider it, her mother said. Properly this time. And Evelyn, I'm proud of you, even if I don't always show it. You're becoming the kind of leader this company needs. Evelyn felt tears prick her eyes again, but this time they were different. Hopeful. Thank you, Mom. She left the office and immediately called the property manager. She explained that the notices were being reversed, that new plans would be coming, that everything was going to be handled differently. Then she called Marcus. He didn't answer. She left a voicemail. The notices are being reversed. Your lease is safe. I know you probably don't want to hear from me right now, but I needed you to know. You don't have to move. You and Lily are safe. She hung up and sat in her car, staring at her phone. She wanted him to call back. She wanted to hear his voice, to know he understood. But the phone stayed silent. 2 days passed. Evelyn worked on the proposal, finalizing every detail, making sure it was perfect. She barely slept. She barely ate. She just worked. On Thursday afternoon, she was at the cottage when she heard a knock on the door. She opened it and found Lily standing there, holding a picture book. Mrs. Alvarez stood behind her on the sidewalk, giving Evelyn a small nod. Hi, Miss Evelyn, Lily said. Daddy said you got our house back for us. I wanted to say thank you. Evelyn's throat tightened. She knelt down so she was at Lily's level. You're welcome, sweetie. I'm glad I could help. Daddy's been sad, Lily said. He doesn't smile as much. Mrs. Alvarez says it's because he misses you. I miss him too, Evelyn said softly. And I miss you. Will you come to my reading thing at school? Lily asked. It's tomorrow at 3. I'm reading a book about frogs. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I'd like it if you did. Evelyn felt tears threaten again. I would love to come. Thank you for inviting me. Lily smiled, a big, bright smile that made Evelyn's heart hurt in the best way. Okay, see you tomorrow. She ran back to Mrs. Alvarez, who gave Evelyn a knowing look before walking away with Lily. Evelyn closed the door and leaned against it. Lily had come to find her. That had to mean something. That had to mean Marcus wasn't completely closed off to her. She had to believe that. She had to. The next afternoon, Evelyn showed up at Lily's school at 3 o'clock. She brought a new picture book, one about a caterpillar who was afraid to become a butterfly, but learned that change could be beautiful. She sat in the back of the classroom as Lily read her frog book. The little girl was confident and clear, sounding out the harder words carefully. When she finished, everyone clapped and Lily beamed. Marcus was there. Evelyn saw him at the front of the room, watching his daughter with so much pride and love that it made Evelyn's chest ache. He hadn't seen her yet. She'd been careful to stay hidden in the back. When the reading session ended, Lily ran to Marcus and hugged him. Then she looked around the room until she found Evelyn. Her face lit up, and she waved. Marcus turned to see who she was waving at. When his eyes met Evelyn's, he went still. Evelyn stood slowly. She walked over to them, her heart pounding. She handed the book to Lily. You did such a great job reading, Evelyn said. I brought you this. I thought you might like it. Thank you, Lily said, hugging the book to her chest. Evelyn looked at Marcus. Can we talk? Just for a minute? Marcus glanced at Lily, then nodded. Lilybug, go get your backpack. I'll be right here. When Lily ran off, Marcus said, Thank you for the notice reversal, for fighting for us. I told you I would, Evelyn said simply. I know, Marcus said. He rubbed the back of his neck, looking uncomfortable. And I'm sorry for not believing you, for thinking you'd known about the notice and didn't tell me. Grant got in my head, and I let fear make my decisions." "I understand," Evelyn said. "You were protecting Lily. I don't blame you for that." "But I should have trusted you," Marcus said. "You'd proven yourself over and over, and I still doubted. That wasn't fair." "We were both scared," Evelyn said. "But I meant what I said in my letter. I'm not going anywhere. Not unless you tell me to." Marcus looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "I don't want you to go anywhere. I want—" He stopped, struggling with the words. "I want to try this. For real. No more fear, no more doubt. Just us, figuring it out together." Evelyn felt her heart swell. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure," Marcus said. He stepped closer and took her hand. "I'm sorry it took me this long to say it." "You're saying it now," Evelyn said softly. "That's what matters." Lily came running back with her backpack. She looked at their joined hands and grinned. "Are you friends again?" "Yeah, Lilybug," Marcus said, smiling. "We're friends again." "Good," Lily said. "Because I like Miss Evelyn. She's nice." "She is," Marcus agreed, squeezing Evelyn's hand. They walked out of the school together, Marcus, Lily, and Evelyn. It felt right, natural, like they'd been doing this forever. By the following week, Evelyn's proposal was approved. Her mother had agreed to phased renovations, tenant first scheduling, and lease extensions for everyone in the duplex row. Marcus would be able to stay in his home, and so would all his neighbors. Evelyn moved out of the cottage and into a small apartment in town. She wasn't ready to move in with Marcus. That felt too fast, especially with Lily to consider. But she was close. Close enough to have dinner together most nights. Close enough to help with homework and bedtime stories. They took things slow. They went on real dates. To the diner by the lake, to the Saturday farmers market, to the park where Lily could play while they talked. They held hands in public and didn't care who saw. They kissed goodnight on Marcus's porch and said, "I love you," only when they both meant it completely. Grant left town without saying goodbye. Evelyn's mother sent her a text. "He won't be bothering you anymore. I made that clear." Evelyn smiled when she read it. Maybe her mother was learning too. One Saturday afternoon, about a month after everything settled, Evelyn came over with paint samples. Marcus had mentioned wanting to repaint Lily's room, and Evelyn had offered to help. They spread the samples on the kitchen table while Lily examined each one carefully. "This one," Lily said finally, pointing to a soft lavender. "It's like sunset." "Good choice," Marcus said. He looked at Evelyn. "You sure you want to help paint? It's messy work." "I'm sure," Evelyn said. "Besides, I'm pretty good at holding paint trays. You taught me well." They painted all afternoon. Lily helped with a small roller, carefully covering the walls with the new color. Marcus and Evelyn worked side by side, laughing when Lily got paint in her hair, arguing playfully about whether they needed more drop cloths. When they finished, they stood back and looked at the newly purple room. It was beautiful, fresh, full of possibility. "Perfect," Lily declared. That night, after Lily was asleep in her new purple room, Marcus and Evelyn sat on the porch. The weather was turning colder now, autumn settling in. Marcus wrapped a blanket around both their shoulders and pulled Evelyn close. "Do you remember that first night?" he asked. "When you knocked on the wrong door?" "How could I forget?" Evelyn said. "I was soaked and lost and completely out of my depth." "I'm glad you were," Marcus said, "because you walking through that door was the best wrong turn I've ever seen." Evelyn looked up at him. "You know what's funny? I spent so long looking for the right house, the right life, the right everything, and it turned out the wrong door led me exactly where I needed to be." Marcus smiled and kissed her forehead. "So what happens now?" "Now," Evelyn said, We keep showing up. For each other. For Lily. We take it one day at a time and build something real. I can do that, Marcus said softly. I want to do that. They sat together in the quiet, wrapped in the same blanket, watching the stars come out over the small town that had become home. It wasn't the life Evelyn had planned. It wasn't what anyone expected. But it was right. It was real. And it was theirs. Inside, the fixed lamp glowed in Lily's window. A light they'd repaired together, just like they were repairing each other's broken pieces and building something whole. The storm that brought them together was long over. But the shelter they'd found in each other would last much, much longer. Evelyn leaned her head on Marcus's shoulder and smiled. She'd walked through the wrong door on a stormy night, and somehow she'd found her way home. The end.